Alright, let's see if this is running again. I have to like restart the stream because the internet blinked once and then it was game over. Alright, so we have sound. Let's move this along. The wasteland's desert is vast and boundless, forming a golden span whichever way one looks. Donning with blazing rods and carrying boxes of offering, a procession of sand elephants advances slowly in the golden desert towards the altar. The Autumn Festival is the greatest of all festivals in Wasteland and is held every fall at the Quicksand Shrine. And on the day of the festival, priests from all of the different tribes gather here to offer food and livestock to the gods for a great year to come. The festival will be much grander in the years with the hawk hunting. The winner at Hawk Hunter of this year is required to carry the divine arrows to the altar built for the hawk hunters. And the hunter does so to guarantee the year's festival and as a way to demonstrate their bravery and inspire all. You will be able to look more into the black sand inside the shrine once the festival is over. And a Hoda sits on top of an elephant leading the procession. And in the Hoda sits the Golden Tribe's priestess and the Hawk Hunter and three of the guardians of the divine arrows, including Nikki. And Teresa appears washed with fatigue but is otherwise ceremonially dressed for the occasion. And she lies down for a stretch on a light blanket and stuffs of red berries into her face. You don't seem like you're about to attend a formal event. Being a festival holder is no easy job and I need to get some quality rest now. Jesus sits at the edge of the Hoda and looks out the window with an alerted expression. And a quiver carrying the divine arrow takes an immediate obvious spot in the Hoda. And refracted by the sapphires on the divine arrows, the light seeping into the Hoda has turned into a gorgeous translucent blue. Before the hawk hunting, I tracked down the black sands at the Quicksand Shrine and saw it turning into hawks. And the black sand has to be here at the shrine for a reason, and be careful now. And you said that the Quicksand Shrine was left behind by the gods, and could it be because of this? The Quicksand Shrine stands on top of a sinkhole underneath which crimson surges and rolls. And legend has it that the sinkhole just appeared out of the blue one day, just like in Florida. And our ancestors decided this to be a holy site, and that the sinkhole must be where the gods descend. So the tribes built tombs and altars and temples here which form the Quicksand Shrine. And Tess puts a few more grapes into her mouth and satisfied smile creeping into her face. And maybe the black sand is waiting for the gods to appear too. And then they hear someone calling to them. And what's that sound? And something seems to be calling to us. And the voice is muffled and comes from afar, yet carries with it a bizarre familiarity. And it seems to have traversed the vast expanse of time and galaxy, untraceable yet knowing more audible by the second. And still pleasantly warm a few moments ago, the wind quickly gains momentum, and sending gravel and stones into the air and crashing down onto the Huda like a violent raindrop. The Huda starts shaking violently from beneath, and frightened the sand elephant lets out a thunderous roar as it jaws in terror with incredible force. Momo! And the violence waves and Momo flying straight for the edge of the Huda. And holding onto the railings with one hand, Jesus grabs Momo right before he falls out and throws him back into the carriage. And Jesus jumps out and balances herself on the sand elephant's neck and tightening her grip on the reins and pulls them back as hard as she can. Hold on to the railings. And the sand elephant lets out a long roar and raises his front head and holding the dangerous pose for a moment before stomping heavily onto the ground. Yes, that's good. And Jesus uses one arm to hug the elephant's neck and with all her might she gently pats his head with the other. And then the sand elephant shakes his head strongly and then a few moments before regaining composure. And that was so close. I think I'm gonna be traumatized forever. Jisoo, are you okay? Jisoo quickly scans the hood and then nods her head after ensuring that everyone is safe. Though weak in her leg, Nikki forces herself to stand up. And Nikki carries Momo in her arm, and Momo hasn't recovered from the shock and looks out the window with a frightened expression, but suddenly starts shouting loudly. Nikki and Teresita, look over there. And there it is, where the sandstorm has dispersed along the deserted hills and a magnificent shrine stands alone in the distance, and surrounded by the buildings of assorted of styles. And as the sand elephant slowly approaches the shrine, they can finally appreciate the magnificence of the massive sinkhole that lies in the middle of the complex. think this time I'll go with a darker hue. Oh, that looks nice. Alright, front and back, and off we go.
I see the causes of the world with my eyes.
After passing the mausoleums, the witch threw the scattered tents of a mishmash of colors belonging to the citizen pilgrims, and finally they arrived before the sinkhole. And at the bottom of the giant opening is an endless flowing quicksand, and on the walls as narrow as cliffside passages and stairs leading into a tunnel big and small. It really is a sight to behold. The buildings here sure have a great variety of architectural styles, and there are many different tribes living in the wastelands, and we all have different traditions, but we accept differences. And together we build our shrines and altars around this holy site to accept the teachings and blessings from the gods. And I will show you around after the autumn festival, but let's head into the altar for the hawk hunters now. And the staircases are actually a lot narrower than meets the eye, and the sound of the wind and the rolling sand echoes between the rocky cliffs. And there is quicksand running underneath, and one misstep and it's all it takes for one to turn into a goner. And the staircase isn't fenced off with railing. It seems pretty dangerous to me. Except it isn't. Only those who don't respect the gods from the bottom of their hearts fall off. And wastelanders believe in the gods' plans, and the quicksand that knows no end could just be the place for us to rest in peace. What an optimistic bunch. As we arrive at the bottom of the staircase, lands a spacious platform, and in front of her a stream of fine sand gushes down from the crevice along the stone wall, forming a sand wall. And before the sand wall stands a man in the Asher costume, and he wears a tan decorations and carries a scepter. And despite his white hair and beard, his face doesn't show similar signs of aging. Priest Asher, and have our utmost gratitude for standing guard of the shrine. And waiting for the god's summons in the quicksand is my duty. Boy, this priest looks so much more power than Tess. And Priest Asher is the most powerful among all of the priests of his generation, and he only once helped his tribe open the path to the mountains when he was younger. And his story is still widely told even today, and many children look up to him. And I was blessed by the gods who kindly lent me this power. And now my mortal power is so rapidly deteriorating, his divine power shines eternal and never fails to manifest itself upon his benevolent people. And his divine power has most certainly manifested upon us all here. And when the priest Asher bows slightly, the group quickly follows suit and returns the gesture. And God has guided you out in your moments of courage and power and has borne witness the himself of it. Now I shall lead you to the altar reserved for the heart hunters to pray for his blessing. But it's a dead end up ahead, and are we supposed to walk into the Sandstorm? The pastor presents himself to those summoned by the gods. And as the praise Asher raises his scepter, the flowing yellow sand before him parts either side as if answering to a command. And hidden behind the sunfall is a cave and one without a path, but a void that leads to nowhere, and cool wind flows gently from within. And priest Asher raises his scepter even higher, and wind soars around him, lifting his long vestment, and a quicksand comes roaring in from all directions. But instead of ravaging the quicksand, swarms submissively around the priest and Jesus' feet and forms a golden path through the dark. This is incredible. And the sun gathers around the others in the group and extends into the dark depths of the cave. Wait, why is the quicksand swarming around us too? And that's because you are protected by what the God has left behind, and brave hunters, the gods are summoning for you as well. Summoning for us. Well then, let's go and have a look. Let's go together. And the path of Sand Harbor is extremely strong, and contrary to what it appears may suggest, the group feels a lot at ease now. The ceremony is about to begin, and this way, hunters. Stay safe, I'll catch up with you at the ceremony. And the wind blurs out Ted's voice, and the group follows the path of the sand deep into the cave, into which not even light can reach. And the curtain of the yellow sand closes quietly behind them. No sé. I was asking me something. Alright, front and back and a
Every battle I'm in, victory is the only outcome.
After a long walk in the dark, they finally set feet on a land again, and the path of sand disperses behind them. And there's no lights to shine upon the path in this underground edifice. And the group finally makes out the extremely tall dome, which their eyes have grown used to the darkness. And the towering stone walls around them divide the space into countless closed stone chambers and intertwining paths. And the path leads to numerous god statues and altars of different styles. Everything has a soul in wasteland, and here in this land we have many gods as there are stars in the sky. And the godless people of their respected tribes, and to be able to be better worship the gods, different tribes have built their own altars here on the ground. And this place is sacred, and the priests are usually the only ones who can visit. And we have no need for lights here, as we have the gods to guide us through the dark. And hunters, please be sure to follow me closely. And the cone and dam and the inside of the edifice carries an eerie air typical of any underground building, and Momo's hands tied to Nikki's clothes. And Jesus, however, sees in her element, and she stays behind the group, keeping careful watch of their surroundings and at a reasonable distance. And Jesus, are you familiar with this place? And Jesus is unresponsive, and her thoughts now turn to the broken bricks and the shelves in the corner, and they are laid out of the bed that stirs up a near feeling of deja vu. I don't know, I guess I might have been here. Unlikely, regular citizens aren't allowed to set foot in here, and even when the hard hunters are summoned by the gods, they are invariably guarded along the way. And Jesus shakes her head after pondering for a few moments, though images linger in her mind. No, it wasn't actually a little bird that told me. And the fog seems to have crept into the air, which now above with dark and blue fog, and the further they go, the thicker the fog becomes. And statues of the gods with their faces scorched out fade out in and out, and suddenly turning the atmosphere from sacred one to ghostly. No one of these statues has a face, and it is part of the wasteland's religion. And Jesus stops to survey the statues, and there is a blank gravel where their faces have been eroded. And it looks like they were worn down by the black sand. Again, and does the black sand really hate the gods that much? And by Hunter, please remain silent and show reverence in the shrine. And the priest who has been leading the way in silence hits the ground with his scepter, sending thumps and hints of irritation rippling through the dark. And Wasteland operates under the god's will, and the fact that the blank sand is found here in the quicksand shrine means that the gods permitted their presence. And it is only when the gloom and foreboding complement each other that nobility and hope can flicker. And God is most praiseworthy for having sent down the suffering and struggle that had created us in Westlanders. And the priest actually speaks in a raised voice, sounding like a completely different person from just a moment ago. What's with that tone of voice, though? And Priest Asher takes no heed of Momo's mumbling, and smiling again, he reminds the group to watch their step. And then they've been walking on the path for quite some time, but the altar is still nowhere to be seen. And they seem to have lost their grip on time and space with walking in the dark. And are we there yet? I'm so hungry. And sir, are we on the right track? Rest assured we are on the right track indeed. Then the divine arrows on Jesus' back begin to glow in a deep blue light, even brighter than what they saw in the hack hunting. And the arrows appear to be calling to something. And then a faint ray of light comes piercing into the dark and reaching towards the light from the divine arrows. And could this be? And Jesus reacts immediately and runs for the light. And blinding light hits everyone square in the face, and as they travel across the last stretch of the darkness, and at the end of the path is a fourth side leads to the wall outside, and the other leads to a long narrow tunnel. And sunlight from the outside reaches in and traces out the outlines of a tattered statue of a god shrouded in fog in the depths of the tunnel. And before the statue lies quite a beautiful curl bowl bearing gemstones. The bowl lies in sand at the end of the tunnel, and a ray of light falls gently on the ground of the dome. And the bowl itself is enshrouded in a thick fog, but beautiful sapphires on the bowl are crystal clear without so much of a speck of dust. And it seems to carry an unfathomable power. And the three divine arrows on Jesus' back resonate with the divine bowl by giving off a dark blue light and tingling the walls on either side. And the priest Asher, however, suddenly opens his eyes wide and starts mumbling in what sounds like an ancient tribal language. And he holds his head to horizontal and raises it as if in offering, and gestures the others to slightly bow. And a long-lost divine object was discovered, and I can't believe it's happening. And everyone has heard about the story of the Hawk Hunter and her divine bow, but no one knows exactly where it is. And the only way to find it is to have the bow and arrows close by each other and for them to be resonant. Is this the divine bow that belonged to the legendary Hawk Hunter? And didn't Jesus say that the Quizzer had taken it? Is this really the real deal? Judging by how the bow responded to the divine arrows, I would say that they are genuine. And why is it here, though? Brave hunters, the gods have guided you here and bestowed the divine object upon you, and this is an honor you shall not refuse. And while everyone is still hesitant, Jesus takes the first step forward. Let me get it then. It's so dark ahead. Are you sure you're going to be okay? The last thing a hawk hunter is going to let stand in their way is fear, even if the road ahead is lined with thorns. And when Jesus is done tying the hem of her cloak and putting her hair back, she unloads the quiver with the divine arrows from her back and passes them this way. This will be a hassle to move around with, and keep it safe for me. And be careful. Jesus passes before the tunnel, and she quickly stretches her body, and after a short dash, she leaps into it. And Jesus feet skim the floor of the tunnel in the same way a dragonfly skims the surface of the water. And at the pit of a human's height, however, materializes with a low bank where Jesus stood for a second ago. And Jesus sets off a track as she barely makes it over the pit, and a plank which a metal spike suddenly launches out at Jesus' torso. And Jesus, however, bends her back backwards into an arch to dodge the plank, and then she lowers her body quickly to kick away the next plank coming her way. So this is the same fortress portion of Shining Nikki. And her key sends the plank flying and blocking out some of the arrows that were coming straight at her. And Jesus takes advantage of this window by leaping forward and dodging the stone spears coming up from above. And that was close, but Jesus is amazing. And the tunnel is filled with trash, but Jesus is much too fast for them, and she's now already standing before the statue with a divine bow. And another step forward is all it takes. And the Hawk Hunter, huh? And you're as good as ever, I see. And a hoarse voice mumbles from behind, carrying a hint of deep despair. Huh? And when Nikki turns around, the priest Asher is facing an unwavering stare at her. And his face is twisted in a more bizarre way with a black fog coming out of his eyes and mouth. And in the next instant, black sand starts swarming and covers everything inside. And it's the same black hole that wreaked havoc at the hawk hunting. And Nikki steps back without even thinking, but not before the black fog explodes and rises up around Nikki's arms and legs, restraining her movements. And what's happening? I can't move. And the group is trying to break free to no avail. And this is bad, and we're trapped. And all of a sudden, the fog shrouding the statues in the tunnel comes to life and starts moving. And the dark mist floods the floor and climbing up the wall and growing by the second, showing no signs of stopping, except that no fog, it is black sand. And Jesus just inches away from the divine bowl when the stream of black sand engulfs her and robs her of the divine bowl. And the priest Asher, the perpetrator of all of this happening now, wears a smirk as he gazes at the blue light flickering on the divine arrows. The divine arrows, they are so close. Teresita and Nikki. And Jesus pulls back in time, but not before the sand has gathered to form an unbreakable wall that stands between Jesus and the others, trees outside the tunnel. And Jesus pulls out her bow and starts shooting arrows at the wall, and the black sand swallows all of her arrows and neutralizing her attempts. And she runs into the wall with her might, but it doesn't even budge an inch. And this rapidly swelling gravel blinds Jesus and leaves countless shallow cuts on her arm. Teresita, Nikki. And the wind threatens to suffocate Jesus as it rushes into her mouth and nose, and the gravel grazes her skin like a knife, putting her through unbearable pain. And blood droplets ooze out of her wounds and leaving traces of red as they graze her cheeks. But none of that stops Jesus, who braces the wind against it again. And outside the tunnel, the ground finds themselves completely engulfed in the surging darkness, which is now pushing them onwards. Ah, endless suffering. Too long. We have been trapped for too long. And covered in the black sand, Prince Asher sounds like a completely different man now. And his broken words turn into a chaotic whisper, traversing the layers of the black sand. And voices of men, women, and elders and children, barely distinguishable, they're all blended into a deafening mayhem. And the black sun seems to carry with it the strong emotions of humans, and is roaring at Nikki and Teresita with every ounce of its being. And as was the case with the black sand seen at the hawk hunting, brave warriors who tried to guard the divine arrows, if it weren't for the lot of you, and you who came by the sea, who came from the ocean, shouldn't be allowed to exist. And winds carrying the black sand clash, and the sand suddenly tightens its grip and launches at everyone off the cliff. And the last grain of sand has left the priest Asher and leaving him unconscious, and his body collapsing onto the floor like a puppet without its strings. And having lost your foothold, the relentless force of gravity yanks everyone downwards. And the momentum throws the divine arrows of Nikki's back, and she reaches out to them, but the black sand swerves and disappears with the arrow. And fear sets in as in the world around you starts spinning, and the wind threatens to suffocate you, and the whirling currents cut you like knives. And there's nothing but ear-shattering turmoil around you. Teresita, And having broken through the black sands barrier, Jesus came rushing and jumped off the cliff without so much as a moment's hesitation. And Jesus falls rapidly to the air. And despite having a wounded arm limping outwardly to the side, she continues to fight her way through the black sand towards her friends. As if she'll never make it. That's a fun see-through coat. That is fun. But not quite what I'm looking for. What's that tiny hat? There it is. Front and back and I forgot.
This time I'll change the ruined future.
Are you alright, Teresita? I'm here. Nikki, I'm fine. Where is this? And the glow you felt when you entered the underground building has vanished, and Grabo comes rushing down from above and occasionally carrying with his slippers of light. It is a we under the quicksand, and where are Jisoo and Momo? And with each other help, you and Nikki stand up and dust each other off, and you look around, but Jisoo and Momo are nowhere to be seen. And we need to be careful, the desert is unpredictably dangerous, according to Tess. And then the sand beneath your feet swells up and starts worming its way towards you. And well, what is this? And the scene takes both of you by surprise and paralyzes you, and the swell seems like an enormous bug and is moving closer to you by the second. And then a fat white car comes popping out of the sand. Oh God, holy, the sand was killing me. And Mom, are you okay? Of course not, and not when the sand got into my mouth. And what is this place anyway? And the priest, I knew he was up to no good. And the priest actually pushed us off, and he took the divine arrows from us too. And did you see the black sand coming out of his body? And that was terrifying. And could he be one of the ones who sent the sandy hawks when we saw the hunt before? And the way he spoke was quite frightening too. And his distorted face and twisted voice and the black sand coming out of his eyes and mouth, he seemed like a vessel carrying the black sand. And he fell unconscious when all of the black sand left, and though could it be that he was under the black sand's control? But the idea of humans being controlled by the black sand, and that's pretty insane. And the light and that was shining down from above had seen, and bizarre noises come rushing from the depths of the cave and sending chills down the spine. And when I was pushed up by the cliff, I felt raging emotions coming from the black sand. And there was hatred so intense and suffocated in those chaotic whispers, and brave hunters who tried to guard the divine arrows if it weren't for the lot of you. And Teresita, I could be wrong, but could it be that the black sand has its own consciousness? That's possible, and Presagio has already felt unconscious when the black sand was trying to take the divine arrows from us. So those raging emotions that we felt could have been the black sand and not the priest. And consciousness or not, the black sand attacked us once at the black hunting, and now they came at us again with all of these traps at the shrine. And just why do they want the divine arrows so badly? And the answer, however, is a mystery deeply buried with no clues whatsoever in sight. Anyhow, we need to get out of here, but we have to find Jesus first. It's fine, so funny. Ay, Phantom back. There we go.
Come on. I'll present you with the most beautiful drink.
Jisoo was out with her back leaning against a rock in a cave underneath the quicksand. Jisoo passed painfully, and her arm dropping unnaturally beside her body, and her soul enjoying a telltale sign of a dislocation. And biting on her clothes, Jisoo holds her dislocated joint with her good hand, and then with a sudden force moves her dislocated joint back into place. Ah! And after a terrifying pop, Jisoo loosens her grip on her clothes and severs a few strands of it to support her arm, and she lets out a long sigh. And it isn't so dark that she can't see, and she stares at the cave ceiling and her thoughts traveling back to the sinkhole. And not so long ago, a black sun was masking the sky into a giant hawk that smooshed her down at her. And all of this seemed overly familiar, and so much as they seemed to have happened just moments ago. And she has fallen in here before with the black sun. But when did it happen exactly? And the past and present had become far too entangled for her to recall fine details. And a surge of memory has been coming to her since she came on the ground. And how is it that she forgot everything if she's been here before? Teresita, Nikki. And Teresita and Nikki crossed her mind, and her body still in pain. Jisoo pops herself back up and walks into the dark. And I need to find them. The path grows darker in color and more sand, and the further Jisoo goes. Teresita, have you noticed that the human traces in the cave? Explore quicksand. And while barely legible, these are the words carved into the common language on the rocks covered in the black sand, sitting on either side of the path. And the Avengers left this, I suppose. How they get here? And we came here only because we got swallowed up by the quicksand. And how did those people make it down here then? Definitely not by getting swallowed up by the quicksand like we did, I bet. And Momo throws a stone which lands on the stone walls and sends dust and sand showering down on him. Come on, not in my mouth again. And with sand and dust coming out, however, the tattered stone wall reveals the inscription carved onto it. We're a group of adventurers pursuing the edge of the world, and we're here carving down what we've seen and heard. And we hope people see our sacrifice and not go to waste. And the words are deeply carved into the stone wall, and the person carving them must have done so with considerable force, all the while agonizing and screeching. And following where the rest of the storm's writings leads in the depths of the cave, there was fully covered in writing like this, trodden in the black dust. And the storm writing you just read prefaces the rest of the inscriptions on the wall, and the wall holds the rest of the inscription in an orderly manner. With Zelda leading the way, we embarked on a journey from the East Pigeon Kingdom and headed for the west. And we came across a forest with a fog that would not be dispersed, but the tree of life gave us guidance. And we made it to Lake Bobale following the waterfront, and it was a dead of winter, but the lake did not freeze over, and the water was warm. And there was a greenery around the lake, and even the flowers that should be dormant during the winter were blooming, and traces of animal inhabitants. And we kept going west until we reached the border of the wasteland in Pigeon Kingdom, and we divided from the foot to the mountain, and finally reached the top of Mountain Ulpa after 5 days of climbing. And looking down from the summit, we saw outwards an expanse in the order of the snow, the gaudy rainforest, grassland, and desert. Adler, so Adler was the one leading the group of adventurers, and these creatures are the records of their adventure. And on the journey, the adventurers saw most never as they approached the Wastelander. And in Salas the Symphonica, Adler headed for Wasteland, and at the edge of the world he saw miracles, an expanse of never-ending quicksand. So we are right now is the edge of the world, and we read about in Symphonica. And look, Nikki, there is some more over here. And your gaze followed where Mom was pointing until you notice a jumble of writing on the wall on the other side of the cave, and it's illegible. And I can't read this to save my life. And from the jumble of the writing you make out some very last piece following. And we left the cold stone tribe and kept traveling, and we traveled across the tablet buried in the sand in the desert, and when I dig into came in contact with the tablet, the world came collapsing down as a switch of annihilation had been flipped, and we fell into a never-ending quicksand. And our consciousness was trapped for quite some time in a chaotic state, and where we saw a surging sea of stars and disorderly trails of stars that stretched into an unseen void. And starlight converges into a picture of destiny, and information flooded into our consciousness through every last opening it could find. And it was unbearable, and the suffering seemed never ending. And it was terrifying. It was so much terrifying. Is this the other world we've been pursuing? I searched the sea of stars. Starlight converges into a picture of destiny. It seems like the adventure saw the ocean of memories. So that's what happened to these regular human beings when they enter the ocean of memories. But we're in the middle of the desert, and why would they run into the ocean of memories out here? Giselle told us that the ocean of memories had been weakening in Mirrorland, and the edge of the world probably refers to where Mirrorland and the ocean of memories merge. And the adventurers entered the ocean of memories after falling into the quicksand. And the edge of the world that they thought they had gone to, however, was in fact a world outside of Mirrorland. God only knows how much time we had spent in this living hell, but we came back to the world at last, and when we came to, we found ourselves trapped in a never-ending quicksand sinkhole, and Ella was nowhere to be seen, though. We hope he was still alive. And after some time, we picked up the signs and changed our bodies were showing, and I saw my own skin peeling off, revealing a squiggling pitch-black gravel. And we screamed at the top of our lungs for the gods to send help, but to no avail. And our fingers came off one after another, and our lives were next to go. And one by one, we heard our human voices replaced by a petrifying hoarse sound. And then I saw black sandy monsters came bursting out of the other adventures as they let out soul-crushing screams. And I tried everything I could to leave this terrifying quicksand, and I tried climbing up the stone wall and screaming for help, and I kept falling back down. But I know nothing I do is going to change anything, and that I'm not going to make it out alive. I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to become a monster. Is this a curse from the world? All because we came in contact with the edge of the world. The ocean is all because of that ocean. And I am still holding the tablet, and the very switch of annihilation we flipped down, and the tablet is what's putting us all through this suffering. But it's the only clue, the only clue. And this particular party is challenged to read with all of the mistaken attempts to fix them, and it's obvious that the person carving this was struggling a lot. And the last few words are especially uneven, and with a closer look you see the words stained with black sand. And it isn't hard to guess what happened to the person carving these words. Black sandy monsters came bursting out of the other adventurers, and does this mean that the black sand was once the adventurers? And having your body eaten away bit by black sand, and that's terrifying. And they came pursuing the edge of the world with hope, and yet were met with unimaginable punishment, all because they violated the rules of the world. And what sort of pain and suffering was they being put through as they carved these words into the stone wall? And fate can change by the second, and science agrees seem the only proper way to lament those subject to the eternal suffering for the pursuit of the truth. How did this happen, though? It says that the ground collapsed when they dug a tablet. Is that how the quicksand came into being? And the quicksand sinkhole leads to the ocean of memories, and the adventures only turn into monsters because of the ocean's sea water. And the ocean, you who came from the sea shouldn't be allowed to exist. And that's why they hate us so much, is because of the smell of the ocean of memories. And Nikki says nothing, and her eyes not focus on the very last night of the stone writing, but it's the only clue. The adventurers fell into the quicksand, and the ocean of memories left these last words here, all because they dug out the tablet. Teresita, let's keep our antennas on, and the tablet might just be around. Then a terrible noise pierces the air, followed by an eerie roar coming from the depths of the cave. And what's that? Is that the black sand again? And as if there's some, and the black gravel that has been sitting silently on the ground and on the wall comes to life. And the aggravated into the black air current surges on one direction. And the black sand seems too damp and carries a speck of light. Is this the power of the ocean of memories? And let's go and find out. And the black sand and air current makes its way through the labyrinth of passages. And it roads grow more ear-splitting and turning this scene into something of a grand pilgrimage. And then the object of worship appears. This is a dilapidated shrine, its murals having been peeled off beyond recognition, and a tattered tablet stands in the center, worshipped by a black sand humanoid. That tablet could have been the one we saw across in Symphonica, and the black sand in the sinkhole has converted bulging into a humanoid that carries two beams of cobalt blue light. The cobalt blue light is the divine bow and arrow, so either they take away the divine bow and arrows to investigate the tablet. And the black sun dances in excitement as the humanoid squiggles around the tablet, which nearly sends Nikki flying. And all of you run for the stone pillar to hide behind as if you notice him lying in a corner of the shrine. Ouch! And Momo trips over the protruding floor tile, and he quickly gets up and hops over to hide behind the stone pillar, but not without making noises. And Nikki holds Momo tightly in her arms and holds her breath. And the noise of the sand crashing together grows louder still and gives everyone shivers. And the twisted silhouette on the ground seems a telltale sign of an imminent disaster. Haha, finally, at long last. And the shadow, however, shows no interest in the intruder so much so that it has safe to say that it is unaware of their existence. And the black shadow lets out a bizarre maniacal laugh, and then a mass of sand emerges from either side of the black shadow. And they raise the divine arrows and bow high into the air in the same way devoted worshippers would present their offerings. And the cobalt blue light from the divine arrows and bows shine upon the tablet, and their dazzling glow seems to be setting the entire shrine ablaze. Huh. And the power of the ocean of memory suddenly comes surging up on Jesus. And shards of memory flicker before her, and mind prickled by the muffled roar of black sand. We seek day and night despite all the pain and suffering, and offer this moment, and show thyself truth of the world, show thyself. And the black sun shouts their worship and sings in tears for joy. And the ball and arrow seem to be reacting to the tablet. And the cobalt and blue light, however, suddenly vanish. And then, when the mass of sand tries to approach the tablet, what's going on? And the gigantic mass of black sand raises the divine ball and arrow again in an attempt to get a response. And the deafening silence and darkness, however, shows no signs of change. No matter how it prays, the tablet no longer responds. Has something gone awry with this ritual? Although the subject the black sand has been worshipping decided to remain silent now. And why is this happening? We have been punished, and all we want is to leave this living hell. Why? Why? And the divine arrows and bows clank on the ground as the black sand humanoid begins distorting. And seemingly having fallen into a mental turmoil, it shivers in pain as its body undergoes constant cycles of breaking apart and coming together. And the black sand breaks into the cries of despair, but no amount of crying will grant them the answer they seek. And at the depths of the sinkhole, all they have staring back at them is a tablet that answers to none. And the black sand moves no more as the power of the ocean of memories recedes, and Nikki takes the opportunity to approach the center of the shrine. And then, like a provoked snake, the black sand struggles to break out on its bearing its fangs as in search of a prey. No, it's not over yet. And the smell of the ocean of memory seems to have finally caught the attention of the mass of black sand. And it suddenly looks over at the ground hiding behind the pillar. It's because of the lot of you, and it's the ocean. If it weren't for the ocean, if only you were all gone. And the black sand has no eyes, but Nikki can feel countless pairs of eyes burning with such frenzied resentment and looking this way. And the black sand goes berserk in an emotional outburst, causing the shrine to shake intensely. Having the last bit of its whole shadow, the black sand has turned into a bloodthirsty beast. Disappear, be destroyed, the ocean, everything from that ocean. A nice sparkly looking outfit. Right, let's show front and back. You know, if the sandy guy has issues with like ocean creatures, I might as well fight him as a mermaid.
Trust me.
The power of the Starling Power explodes, stopping the black sand in midair. Nikki, let's go. But the Divine Arrow. And the Divine Arrow is just within reach now. And without hesitation, Nikki runs out from behind the stone pillar to pick up the Divine Arrows and run for the exit while the black sand remains motionless. The black sand quickly swarms up Nikki as a wind squeals around her. And hopeless and infuriated, the black sand seems determined to destroy everything in sight. And Nikki has reached the end of the path, but the black sand is inching towards her with a crushing force. An alarm bang followed by a shockwave, but Nikki feels no pain. And when Nikki opens her eyes, she sees the humanoid retreating and roaring like a herding beast, and there she is standing before them with her arms open. Jesus, cough. And having taken the heavy blow, Jesus coughs out a mouthful of blood in a half-kneeling position. And she raises her head and gives everyone a reassuring smile. Jesus, are you okay? You are no match for them, and stay back. But how could you? And don't worry, I'll keep you safe. And Jason blinks as a wave of deja vu washes over her, and the world she just uttered proof for the return of her lost memories. And I'll keep you safe. And Jason distinctly reaches for the divine bow in Nikki's arm, and she forces herself to stand straight and stares at the raging sun with burning rage. And like a star with no fear of burning itself from the ashes, the divine bow glows into a bright blue, and is like forming an intangible shield. And scattered gravel and clamor hover in the air in the tranquil dust, and could be descending gently to the air in sunlight. And beyond the shield, the black sand tumbles and rolls, excruciating at Jesus as it's scorched by the blinding light. Yo, it's you again. You're alive. Why? The lot of you carry something that came from the same place as the ocean, and you know something we don't you? Just tell us and set us free. No, it's you who casts a spell on us. You and the black sea water have been torturing us forever, standing in our way. And the black sand and light coming off of the divine bow intertwine and clashing into each other. And Jesus raises the divine arrow, and her injured body quivering with each clash. And then comes another deja vu of the stalemate between the black sand and the dark blue light of Jesus herself holding the divine bow. The black sand and the dark blue light clash into each other again, and the light so bright that it robs Jesus of her vision temporarily. And as Jesus falls to a dream like a beast that seems to not know it finally hits her. She was in the very same shrine a year ago. And with the black sandstorm going through a frenzy, Jesus lay covered in wound and drained of power in the ground. And the black sand traced out an ominous-looking magic circle and bound her tightly to it. And like a black-purple cone where the black sand seized her by the limbs and torso, and she groaned in both pain and fear. And the magic circle attempted to rob her of her life and power, but to no avail. And her memory about the past had all but disappeared, and she forgotten where she came from and the person she'd been looking for in this continent. She was left unconscious in the desert until the girl with black hair and blue eyes saved her. And then a head-splitting pain explodes in Jesus' head, forcing her to open her eyes with a heavy frown on her face. And the shield of the divine bow has created trembles for a few seconds, giving the black sand a perfect chance to flood over. The shockwave sends Jesus flying to the ground in front of Nikki, and the blood by her mouth now gleams in a black purple. Jesus, and forget about me, run! And then, having turned into an innumerable hands, the black sand wraps her in. And then the same magic circle for her memory appears right beneath her. The The black-purple Santa follows Jesus like a towering beast and holds her by the throat and lifts her up. And Jesus retains her firm hold of the divine bow, and she tries again and again to raise it up, but the black hand succeeds in pushing it back down every time. And the divine bow flickers in the dark blue, but has nonetheless managed to yield not an inch more than the black sand. Jesus will help you. And Nikki shouts as she approaches Jesus, but the black sand has completely silenced her voice. And the black sand hisses in a derision and pins the tree to the ground, shattering the styling power before it can even begin to manifest. It's going to blow me away. Hang in there, Jesus. And Jesus manages to turn her head around and sees, and she who lets no sounds to stop her, she knows so familiar. And Jesus herself did once make the same promise at the start scene, and no matter what happened, she promised to stand on guard for the lonely yet gentle goddess through the end of eternity, even if it's going to come at the cost of her life. I don't want to forget it ever again. And everything she holds dear and missions, and she's complete with every ounce of her being and her friends she fought alongside. And the light coming out of the magic circle is robbing her of it all. Is she going to lose it all again? Jesus. And a shout comes roaring over the raging wind, and past the sea of stars and across the seemingly never-ending river of time. Huh? And Jesus opens her eyes in tries, and Nikki and Teresita fall and stand up again and again, in the mayhem of the black sand has stirred up. And still they stride 2 inches closer to Jesus, and the raging wind reminds Jesus of the battlefield of the gods. And when she had fallen into the tide, she shouted for help with more her wholesome self and was met with silence. However, she finally getting a response. And then the shield explodes, and the shadow of the standing power has finally come together, and heated air wraps around Jesus. And someone's memory and emotions are surging up and about to wake up from the depths of consciousness. And the power of the ocean of memories comes swarming around her and turns into a pain beyond tolerance for this human body. Ah! And in excruciating pain, she feels the warmth of someone's hand, and when she looks up, the person in her eyes, she sees Nikki's firm, bright eyes. And held tightly together, their hands form a bridge of bone-deep trust and stone-hard determination. And as he summoned, the form power turns into a speck of starlight and shines upon the other with desperate reality. This is Todora and Rendice. By the way, here's a small gift before we say goodbye. The ruby is still glowing even indoors, and it is as bright as the daughter on stage. Please take this. And when Dai retrieves an exquisite golden seal from his sleeve, a pale gold gem that can be embedded inside a seal when he's flip it around. And like soft starlight, the specks of pink and pale gold blend together and trickle slowly into her palm, and she now has 2 envoys standing behind her. And as standing power comes gushing out, the two thrust headlong into darkness and hate. Don't wanna. Mom? Mom? I guess in a pinch this will do. Hay fountain back and up.
Every battle I'm in, victory is the only outcome.
The black purple magic has first, and so has the Iriara of the Black Sun. And a light gentle power is Jesus and holds her lamp safely on the ground. Jesus sees her hand, and when she opens her eyes, the same hand she saw in her lost memory. Jesus. Jesus. And she holds the hand without a moment's hesitation. And their hands are like a river apart, but they are holding each other now and having crossed the river of time. And with the sandstorm and the magic circle gone, a figure shining brighter than the sun itself stands before them. She carries a long bow in hand and a cobalt light blue enshrouds her, and she is tall and slender with a formidable aura around her. And her long brown hair dances without a breeze, and her golden eyes ablaze as if on fire. And she who lets no darkness in her is stemming her way. And bearing witness to the miracle, the black sun breaks into a roar of frustration and casts bellowing full speed. And Jesus stands in silence, enshrouded in an aura never seen before. And as she pulls the divine bow to a full draw, dark blue power comes surging and eventually turns into a sharp arrow of light. And as she lets go, the arrow swooshes off the bow and shatters the black sun into dust. And the blast stops no more, and it has turned into a wisp of dark mist and no longer able to shroud everything inside. That's a story long forgotten, and she has an envoy symbolizing the power of beauty, born in the star sea of Mirrorland's knowledge with beauty. And her name was Jesus, and her power was formidable, so much so that she could make the stars tremble and tides rise in a breeze. And humans are weak and small, and the star trail could be planned by the gods for a promising future. And her friend lavished praise on her for her logical and convincing claim. And Jesus, however, didn't think so, and humans' planet had a beautiful shine, and she wanted to protect their planet so that the starlight could grow naturally. Every kind of beauty is reflected on the human mind, and the gentle goddess pulled their heartstrings, and as they sang a hymn in praise of the humans surrounded by the countless stars that were dancing away, and it was such a beautiful and captivating sight. And on the goddess's command, the stars moved closer to Jesus' face, placing them as stardust rained down on their long hair. See, they are showing you the same kind of love you've shown them. And the goddess loved Mirrorland, though, and through and through. And the beautiful harmony they had composed out of the destiny was inclusive of all beauty and never judged anyone at their best or worst moment. And Jesus wanted to stand on guard for both the harmony and the new goddess. And then the war of the gods broke out, and the war lasted for what seemed like an eternity, but Jesus never once left. And she stood right before the goddess and recited the spell of destruction over and over to summon the power of destruction. And the chaotic darkness of the old god's heart never lifted. And the engulfing wave swallowed Jesus when fatigue got best of her, but the goddess remained standing. And Jesus reached her hand out to the goddess, but caught nothing at all. And then the goddess smiled at Jesus amidst the waves, and it was the last thing Jesus saw of them. And see the world and keep it safe for me. And which is why Jesus seemed to always remember what she is here to do in the wasteland, even though she lost her memory as being through so much hardship. And I will keep the world safe with every ounce of myself. And with the light on the black sand gone, only peace remains. And having regained her memories, Jesus was up to everyone, and her eyes as bright and determined, with a clean and peaceful smile on her face. And Jesus, have you remembered something? Yes, I am from the ocean of memories too. And I've been living in the Starstream Island with my friends and God. But I lost the continent right before them in battle, and I have no idea where my friends are. I am one of the envoys sent down by the gods of styling like Dodora and Rendine. And Jesus nods. Ever since I woke up, I've been looking for people I know and keeping people here safe. And you're the legendary hawk hunter who's defeated the Sandstorm and kept the golden stone tribe safe, right? And I had a hunch when I saw the divine ball and arrows resonate with Teresita's gemstone mirror. And the sapphires accuse it from the gods. And sounding nostalgic as he speaks, Jesus stares at the blue light flickering of the divine bow. But you didn't seem to know anything about the divine bow and the hawk hunter when we first met you. And Jesus lowers her hand. They caught me a year ago when I was looking into the quicksand, and they took away the divine bow and tried to kill me, but never succeeded. And then you lost all your memories. Tess told us that you were wounded all over when she saved you, but why did they attack you and take away the divine bow? It wasn't me or the divine arrow they were after. They were just trying to get rid of everything having to do with the ocean of memories. They want everyone who came from the ocean destroyed because they are thirsty for everything that has to do with the ocean of memories. They're all doing it because of a tablet. Is it the tablet from just now? Yes, and they believe that the tablet will tell them the truth about the world and help them regain their human form. And let's go back and have a look. And they stand up and walk towards the shrine. And behind them the black sun has all but dispersed, except for a little pinch that catches up to Jesus with everything he has left. And flickering the divine arrows and the tattered tablet lie quietly on the ground in the shrine. And sensing Jesus, the divine altar spirals into an air, giving off a gentle light and showering her in memories of a distant past. Oh, that is fun. Something back.
Come on. I'll present you with the most beautiful dream.
The star sea was raging, and the stars were crashing into the sea, and their ashes blemishing the pure sea water, and it was the Ragnarok. And riddled with stars, the gentle goddess stood before everyone. And they were the only ones who had survived the seemingly eternal war between the gods of the old and new. And standing in the burning flames, the silver-haired prophet watched silently as the light of the destruction flared and faded. And it was all eventually put to a quiet when a pure white flames engulfed everything in sight. And the battlefield came crumbling apart as the gods left, and the holy land of the old exploded into countless pieces and landed over the world. And one of the shattered pieces crossed the tunnels between the ocean of memories and Mirrorland, where the prophet landed in the desert. And buried in golden sand, it stood the test of time and was never eroded, and it lay quietly there waiting to be awakened. It was only when the pagan adventures came that the switch of annihilation flipped on. And as the images of the memories from the shards slowly fade away, they find themselves back in the shrine feeling dazed. So the tablet was only a piece that came falling off the war of the gods. And what are you saying? The black sand speaks in 1,000 voices, and it doesn't sound as ear-splitting as it did, but still just as hopeless. And ungraced by the light, it stands before the tablet. You must have seen something. Tell me, tell me. And why can't I see it? We... And the tablet is slowly wearing away in the air and responds no more. And gathering around the tablet, the black sand seems to have realized that the long, excruciating journey was all for nothing. And the tablet doesn't respond to them, neither could it be their salvation. So it didn't carry the curse, so it can't lift the punishment. And everything we've been pursuing, our hope. And the black sand starts trembling, having lost its human form. However, the black sand can no better than making a sound like a tearless wail. And this was a group of passionate adventurers sentenced to eternal suffering by the who just wanted to explore the world. And why did it have to? And they tried to help themselves, but to no avail, and everything appears so ridiculous to the black sand that it starts laughing hysterically. We've been putting up with living as monsters for so long, but it was all for nothing. And it was all for nothing. And then following miserable eerie sighs, the pile of sand dissipates in the air. The sun has sunken behind the horizon, and the bonfire shines against the night and sees through the windows of a tent standing beside the sinkhole. And Nikki wakes up from a deep sleep and sits down at the table as Tess comes through the door curtain with Jisoo holding Momo. Hey, you're awake, and we got food here. Fancy some nuts, barbecue, or goat milk. Tess, is the festival over? Yes, and the hunters did a great job keeping everyone safe too. And I heard from Jisoo that you had a really rough time down under the quicksand, so I didn't wake you up from quality of sleep. And Jisoo and I took Momo out for food because he said he was about to die from starvation. And we stared at death in the eye today, and it only made sense that I treat myself to some nice barbecue. And Mom was not enjoying the barbecue meat he took from the banquet and passed a few pieces over to Nikki. And Tess on the other side grabs a soft pillow and lies down against it in the bed. It's nothing short of a miracle that you made it out of the quicksand. Only because we had Jisoo keeping us safe all the way though. And speaking of which, how is Jisoo? She recovered fully when she got her divine bow back. It's wonderful that divine bow has found its way back to the Hawk Hunter. Tess, however, doesn't sound surprised at all, and she sounds as if she knew this would happen in the course of the events. And do you already know that Jesus was the hawk hunter? The amazing priestess Tess was the earth with the God's blessing, and my predictions shouldn't show clear results, but they always point in the right direction. And the guardian has slipped into a slumber, but his power still shines brightly. Only when the deep blue lights come, one can lost past be recovered. And when I first met you, I knew you'd be able to help Jesus regain her memory, and it's all in God's plans. So what's your plan now that everything is over? The autumn festival won't be over for another few days. I can show you around after that though. Thank you, Tess, but we have to leave since our friend of ours has invited us to join a music festival in the Pigeon Kingdom. And you're leaving already? Yes, it's been a short stay, but we've been through so much and we got to know all of you and learn the truth about the miracles that Elder had seen. And we just paid the priest Asher a visit with Jesus. And he told us that he fallen prey to the black sun only because he was stationed at the quicksand shrine for far too long. And the expedition followed Elder in pursuit of the edge of the world, only to find themselves suffering in a hell from which they can never escape. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay. It's not Jesus, but it's very close. The black sun, last roars and laughter still burning like a nightmare fuel. Priest Asher can still sense their presence, and they survive on sheer determination, which itself might be the God's punishment for them. And I'll try down the black sun, but before that, Jesus pulls the divine bow, and its dark blue sapphire crystal clear in the dead light. And the dark blue star on the star shard behind the mirror seems to be glowing in response to the divine bow. And after staring at the sapphire for a few moments, Jesus removes it from the bow and passes it over. Here, take it. And this gemstone is an envoy keeps it and carries Jesus' power with it. And this is yours. Are you sure you don't want to keep it now that you're finally back to you? I thought my memories would be lost forever until I met you. Thank you for the sapphire. There in Jesus' hand, it shines in all of its glory despite all of the hardship it's been through, and much like Jesus. And thank you, Jesus. And this is a blessing from the hawk hunter herself, and it will protect you the same way the 3 divine arrows keep our tribe safe. And let's visit the other tribes next time you're ever here, and Jesus would help us too. And we'll definitely cross paths again because no matter where we are, we stay connected through Maryland's faith. And Tess greets the cataphors with blessing, and Jesus looks visibly sad, though her golden eyes manage to stay bright. Call my name when you need me, and I'll be there before you know it. The wind carries Jesus' voice far away and well into the depths of the desert. And the lost guardian has found her memories back, and while the past is gone, with the winds and the tides of the star had yet to rest. And the land of the oak gazes at the sky as the glorious trails of star reaches forth to march out where their destiny lies. That's a nice purple dress. It's like the one that I got for like the new event that's going on right now. Remember like the cat event that I read you, the dress that is attached to the event is this one. fountain back, and off we go.
I see the causes of the world with my eyes.
Oh, I just had to forgot that if I pull the nail art, it doesn't show the gloves and vice versa. Ah, whatever. We're a group of adventurers pursuing the edge of the world, and we are here carving down what we've seen and heard. And we hope people see it so our sacrifice won't go to waste. And underneath the endless quicksand and showered by golden sands and slivers of light, a young man is carving away on the wall. And he's carving slowly and arduously, curling up every now and then breathing in pain. Oh. His fellow adventurers lie beside him with a pale face and decaying piece of drinking pole. And what are you doing, Garcia? And nothing sinks down, and I'm nodding down what we come across on our journey. And an expedition is trekking through the desert. And the golden sun reaches well beyond the horizon and the seemingly borderless desert. And the burning sun scorches the land mercilessly, and the wind sizzling and unforgiving slaps the sand in their faces again and again. And Garcia is carrying an unconscious member of the expedition who is suffering from a heat stroke and severe dehydration and is unable to sweat. And despite the heat of his body, however, he is not sweating at all. And having run out of water and medicine, the expedition has no choice but to press ahead. And then when Garcia suddenly trips and falls on his knee, his team members go down with his head first into the sand. And his body is so light that it doesn't make any sound falling down, and yet so heavy that Garcia also trouble pulling him up no matter how hard he tries. Garcia, don't waste your time, he's already dead. And Garcia closes his eyes, and his sighs drown in deafening wind. And he turns his fellow adventurer's body over and closes his eyes, and then leaves without sparing it another look. And it wasn't even all that long when they had scaled the rolling mountains of Europe and arrived at the Golden Sand Tribe. And then the locals told them that if they kept traveling east, they would reach an off-limit area plagued by sandstorms all year round. And no one had made it out alive, and no one knew what was in the sandstorm. And the tribe's legend had it that the sand was occupied by the devil of Sandstorm, and that the land itself would devour anyone that dared trespass. Off-limit area, the term is thus every bit as tantalizing as forbidden fruit. And at night they snuck through the tribe's guards and into the off-limit area. And there wasn't a single road inside, and their compass stopped working. And to make matters worse, they were robbed of their supply by one of the sandstorms after another. And one by one, the expedition saw its members collapsing. And those left standing didn't even know that they were just going around in circles or whether they had unwillingly walked into the devil's trap. But they pressed forward, determined and brave. And then Garcia makes out a mumbled sound coming from the distance, one that resembles the call of a person. And with it, the Santos comes to a halt. And the heater has distorted their vision, but when they raise their heads, they see a piece of stone half buried in a golden sand. It's a piece of stone. Could it be a relic? And they burst out into applause and forgetting their fatigue and frustration. There has to be something here, and we made it. And they muster up their strength and run for the stone. And lying all alone in the golden sand, it appears to be a piece of a weathered tablet, and a sign that there might be more tablets to be uncovered under the sand. Garcia pulls out his notebook and starts writing. The other members also pull out their spades and equipment for mapping and digging, and then Like cutting stuff in the real world. You know, like tomatoes and stuff. Where is that thing I'm looking for? Ah, let's put that instead. That is fun. Alright, let's show front and back, and off we go.
Come on. I'll present you with the most beautiful drink.
Bang! And when one of their space comes in contact with the tablet, so too is their face seal. And what's going on? And as the shark nose explodes in their heads, the winds around them become tumultuous, and the earth beneath them begins shaking violently. Yeah, I guess they found that monolith. And earth shakes and rolls as if angry beasts were awakened from hibernation. And then an enormous sinkhole materializes on the land as the sand falls through it, and the seemingly infinite quicksand brings everything down with it. And it suddenly dawns on Garcia that he is falling, and the sand and the stone wall around him seeping past him upwards. And soon he is falling through the utter darkness, and God only knows just how much longer his fall will continue. And his fall comes to an abrupt stop, and when he opens his eyes, he finds himself floating in a space, a complete void to be exact, and he has never seen before. And a vast expanse of ocean materializes out of thin air, with surging tides of light and shadows and nebulas. And before he knows it, a violent wave slaps Garcia square in the face. And Garcia feels suffocated, and the wave just shatters his consciousness and the world in his eyes. And then comes the flood of kaleidoscopic collage of memories belonging to different people. And a baby looking at his mother's face in a hazy light, a child reading poems and myths by candlelight, and a soldier closing the eyes of his deceased friend. And birth, death, war, peace, reunion, farewell, scenes play out simultaneously before him and quickly go from one to the next. And then comes the flood in all of the emotions and feeling crashing into Garcia's consciousness. Garcia is thrown into a state of mental turmoil, and one in which he is robbed of accurate perception of time and of his own physical form. And the shots render all sadness and happiness meaningless, and everything he feels is excruciating, akin to a prolonged execution with no end in sight. And petrified and losing all control of himself, Garcia is trembling all over with every inch of his body tensing up. And then infinite seawater nibbles away at his identity and consciousness. And then the pain he has been holding sank into his palm, and the sharp pain he feels pull him back from the suffocating for now. The pen, my notebook. Right, I am Garcia. I am an adventurer who set out on a journey to bear witness and not jot down everything that I've seen. And I'm going to explore the edge of the world no matter what happens, and I'm going to keep going down and what's been seen in our journey. And trying his best to stay sane, the young man starts writing instantly and in his unknown space with the illusion that they are about to be swallow him whole. We left the golden stones tribe and kept traveling. We came across a tablet burning sand in the desert, and hope and hopelessness are rekindling Garcia as he begins penning his memories down. Then he suddenly begins falling again as it all fades to black, and he lands on the ground with a sob. He opens his eyes and his vision slowly recovering in the dark as the world around him begins to piece back together. And he sees Santa float him with slivers of light trickling down through occasionally. And this sand, I am back, I made it out. And knowing that he has made it out of the living hell alive, Garcia lies flat on the ground and starting to cry, clinging tightly to his notebook. Alright, let's thumbnail. I guess I'm knowing that like the weird robot thing turns on whenever like nobody asks for it. You know, like the thing that a lot of people have in their houses. It's a nice summery outfit. Perfect for like the desert area. A little big. Let's put city horns in. Alright, that is fun. Alright, front and back, and off we go. You will see that the tail will be a little lower. But whatever.
This time I'll change the ruined future.
It takes a while for Garcia to come to grips with his surroundings, and he's sitting on a sinkhole with quick wheels turning above him, and he can see his friends not too far from him. And some of them are waiting, and some of them are scared soulless, and some of them have recovered from the shock and are chattering. And Garcia, you're alright. And a tall man with dark brown mustache walks over to Garcia and passed the young man on the shoulder with his thick hand. And Blue was born over the border of Pigeon Forest, and he is worldly and sociable, mature and forgiving. Blue, I saw an ocean, and there was a starlight in dancing like crazy. And the waves came and shattered me into pieces, and the illusion, and they just kept coming at me, and it was terrifying, and I was looking at hell itself. And Garcia feels crippled in fear as he so much as tries to recall what happened, and Garcia clenches Blue's hand tightly, and his sweat dripping along his face. And he was shattered and tormented with no end in sight, so that death might as well have been honey to him. And Blue fell silent too, and what happened to him must have been unbearable. But here they were back on Earth again, and the return might have been a deed of mercy by the gods, or maybe the sheer will of wanting to carry out with their expedition brought about a miracle. Blue works up a smile in an attempt to comfort the trembling young man, or perhaps in an attempt to make himself feel better. Garcia, do you still remember the forest with the super thick fog? And what it was? And we were lost in there for a few days, and we even had to eat grass there when we had run out of food, and you were too scared to even sleep at night. It was my first time going through something like that, and I had just joined the expedition then. And as Sobin reminisces and remembering what happened along the way, Garcia is starting to regain composure. But the expedition was well worth it, and we saw the legendary Tree of Life. They saw it when they were at their wits' end, and an ethereal sound emanated from the fog, which they followed until they saw the majestic towering tree. And the tree leaves were giving off a beautiful light, and when the wind rustled then, the notes they played strung into an implemented heavenly peace. And the tree of life was so beautiful, and I even picked up a leaf as a bookmark for my notebook. Feeling better now, aren't you? We had stared death in the eyes so many times as we came, but we beat it every single time, didn't we? And when you tell people their stories back at home, you better do it like a brave man. And Blue had a cheerful laugh, and so does Garcia, and cheered up, they seen one another's expedition members shattering just meters away, joining them. Garcia and Blue, and what a good timing, and we are brainstorming for a plan to get out of this place. And how's that coming along? Not looking good, and we found some equipment lying about, but most of it has grown too rusty. And there's nothing but sand around, and we did come across some stone walls, but they aren't tall enough to help us get out of here. And come on, young man, and this place is you. Let's look around to see what else we can find. And they start looking around, and then in the corner beyond the reach of light, Garcia sees the tablet from earlier buried in sand. And did it fall down with the expedition? Garcia squats down for a closer look, and it was some sort of writing carved onto it, but it entirely illegible and comes with no clues whatsoever. Garcia, don't touch it, and we fell down here because of it. And did you forget how terrifying the Sea of Star was? And I don't want to go back there, and this has to be the door to hell. Let's stay away from it. And we shouldn't jump to the conclusion though, and that's the only clue we have so far, and maybe it will help us get out of here. And they start arguing because they each think they must be right, and then a shriek from the distance pierces the air. And when they leave the tablet behind to search for the person screaming, they find one of their members on the ground. My legs! Ah, my legs! And one of his shoes sits on the ground, and both his legs are gone, and exposed to the air, his ankles are crumbling and wearing away as though they were stones. And Garcia takes off his cloak immediately and impresses his wound, trying to stop his body from falling apart. And then Garcia notices that a big piece of skin on his left shoulder has peeled off, and underneath it, squirming black gravel. But it doesn't sting at all, not one bit. Ah! The horrendous sight sends Garcia into a screaming frenzy. Let's see if I can find this skirt. Oh, this one looks fun. It's a fun combination. Alright, now let's fix up the hair. Alright, front and back, and off we go.
Every battle I'm in is the only outcome.
They huddled together in the never-ending quicksand, and the weathering of their bodies spreading among them like a plague. Shattered turmoil, it appears that they never really escaped the illusion of the sea of the stars. And getting torn apart in the sea of stars and not being able to escape from this quicksand are the worst of punishment. And now they're going to be deprived of their humanity too. And why is this some sort of punishment? But we already been put through so much suffering, and we're still stuck in here, and it's still not enough. God, please have mercy upon our souls. Please help us. And suddenly a member who curls up and mumbles to himself, holds his head up and screeches in pain. It's shattering, it's breaking into pieces again, and I can see it is coming and going to flood me over. And Carl is trembling all over, seemingly awash with the dread beyond description of a language. And his eyes having lost focus wide open, and suddenly he jumps up and then takes out a dagger and starts stabbing himself in the throat. And no blood is spilled, and Carl keeps stabbing himself, which does nothing to free him of the pain he is going through. And everyone stares in silence, the air having been poisoned with fear, and Garcia can hear someone else whimpering, as though they would be next to lose it. And now stop! Emily rushes over to grab Carl's hand and causing both of them to fall onto the ground, and the fall, however, seems to have pulled him out of the frenzy. And he falls to his knee and starts weeping in misery. And why do I have to go through all of this? And I shouldn't have come. I shouldn't have come to explore this place. And Garcia remembers Carl being a happy young man. And when he joined the expedition in the Apple, he said he was going to collect some clothes whenever he went, and he made a hunter's robe with him. Well, if we all remember, the locals told them if you go into the middle of the desert, you're gonna die a horrible, painful death. Hannah, Mayana, she's still waiting for me to marry her under the apple tree back home. She will stay with Anna, dude. Bit by bit, Carl's voice grows distorted until his whispering and screams can be heard no more. And it was as if Carl had slipped into a nightmare from which he would never wake. And then his body shadows entirely into a pile of black, squirming gravel. And the silence, the rest of the expedition fade, and the quicksand, the only thing staring at them. And one by one we heard our human voices replaced by petrifying horse sound. And then I saw black sandy monsters come bursting out over the other adventures, and they let out a soul-crushing screams. And with a stony hand, Garcia starts carving their journey onto the wall, and his left hand is gone, and his toes are starting to come apart. And his friends are turning into black sand, but Garcia is too powerless to do anything or even bury them properly. And he decides to carve on because the stone in his hand is now his best friend. And he feels nothing, not the slightest bit of hunger, fatigue, or cold, although very often he feels as though his body is being cut or scorched. And then Garcia finds a tablet, or what's left, the rest of the expedition called the door to hell. And he believes that it's the only hint he has to go on with. Garcia. And a baby's voice cuts Garcia's train of thought, and when he looks up, he sees Dr. White and Dr. Rose sitting next to him. And Dr. White and Dr. Rose were married, and they were both biologists from the Apple Federation and their partners from early on. And Dr. Rose has cracked over her arms, and Dr. White, however, was holding Snow, their daughter, with still viable right arm. Am I disturbing you? And Garcia shakes his head as he shows them a friendly smile, and he gets close to look at the child. Oh, Garcia. And she smiles at Garcia, and her small white hand touching his cold face, and it seems so long since he felt the touch of warmth. And what a wonderful life! And the snowy green stone pendant she wears around her neck is lustrous and beautiful. Snow was born in a temple, and would that make her immune to the curse, Dr. White? And Garcia recalled from Dr. Rose was delivering in the temple of the mountain of Urpa, and the ground braved the snow and kept heading with Dr. Rose and Snow in tow. And the Sandstorm was taking a toll of the feeble Dr. Rose, but they never gave up. And Dr. Rose told them that the gods had beheld the clear sky and land across the mountains, and that she would hate to miss out the view so magnificent. And when they reached the peak and stared at the sky from there, it did when the sea crystal clear. And right beneath their feet was an outward expanse of tundra and rainforest, grassland, and desert stretching further into the distance. And the beauty of this land paired with a clear turquoise sky was truly a magnificent sight to behold. And they found the snowy green stone at the peak that Snow now wore around her neck, and the entire expedition prayed into the snow the memory of Snow's birth. You are an adventurer born in the wind and snow, and may the gods of this land bless you, and never give up no matter what happens, Snow, and we will try everything we can to help you leave this place. And Snow, my love, Snow, and you are our hope, and you need to stay alive. And there are so many beautiful things for you to see and learn in this world of which you were born. And even if we might not be there to see that happen, we let a drink actually.
Nikki stand got even worse.
Huh?
Nikki stand
Yeah. And my brother be like, wow, Nikki's Santa and he's even stronger now. I'm in the desert on a horse with no name. A cat with no name. Well, his name is Momo, but you know, you get the joke of the song. Alright, forward we go.
I see the causes of the world with my eyes.
And now the fifth one. Cough, cough, cough. With a stone in his hand, Garcia cuffs violently into the ground. And the while he sees it is spinning, and all of the sounds he hears are muffled as though he were hearing them through the water. And his senses are gradually deserting him, but the agonizing pain he feels is every bit as clear as if an inferno were scorching him alive. And Garcia knows that he's about to meet a bitter and humiliating end, but there is so much more he wants to draw done, and why does it all need to end now? And out of the sudden someone holds him by the arm, and Blue is speaking to him. Garcia, Garcia. And when the young man finally sees Blue clearly, he sees what little remains of what used to be the man's body. Garcia, listen to me. I'm about to die, and I can just feel it. And Blue holds his head at his feet, and mumbling he's now trembling and panting, but eventually manages to calm himself down. But I'll never regret coming on the journey, and I saw the tree of life, but oh no, it's sleeping my mind. Garcia, you have it all written down in your notebook, right? And please tell me about it, and I beg of you about the tree of life. And the same man who used to be so optimistic and talkative is now begging Garcia in tears. And I watch with excruciating grief. Garcia feels a tinge of pain coming from the bottom of his heart. And it is then turns into a force which the young man fights his physical pain. And he's a witness and a recorder with an unfinished mission, and he can go down just yet. And staggering to his feet, Garcia resumes carving, and all the while recounting the journey as though nothing else bothered him. And he can hear laughter and whimpers and screams coming from behind him. And he knows it is his friends, and they are listening and feeling crazy and collapsing and turning into monsters. But Garcia never turns to look at them, and he carries on talking and carving. And we came across the forest with a fog, but the tree of life gave us guidance, and we made it to Lake Bow Valley following a water flow. And we departed from foot from the mountain and finally reached the top of the mountain of Urpa after 5 days of climbing. And looking down from the summit, we saw an outward expanse of a tundra, rainforest, and grassland, and a desert stretching further into the distance. I am still holding the tablet. The very switch of annihilation was flipped on. The tablet was putting us through all the suffering. Dad, Mom. And Garcia can carve no more, and the voice of the baby jers him back to reality. And when he turns around, he hears the baby making indistinct sounds, and the baby is trying to reach her hand out to her parents, or what used to be. And what an innocent, adorable being, yet God doesn't protect her from the curse, nor does the curse spare the young soul. And barely able to speak yet, the baby is withering away in the wind, and she crumbles into pieces before Garcia could even reach out to her. And with her stone pendant drops to the ground, landing with a plop and stirring up a tiny whiff of sand. And Garcia looks around him unknowingly emptiness and silence and desolation, and the chaotic smoke like sand remains. But Garcia knows what this chaotic, petrifying, and disorderly bunch of an existence used to be. And they are Blue, and who knew all of the myths and where to know, and they are Dr. White and Dr. Rose, who are burning passion for what they did. And that they are Snow, pure little Snow, who wanted to explore the world. No, how did this go so wrong? It shouldn't be like this. We need to write them down, our names, our visions, our wishes. And the young man keeps mumbling, and he turns around and ready to keep carrying on carving. Clack. And it is the sound of a stone hitting the ground. And he loses his hand, or what used to be, because it is turning to black sand. No, And the young man lets out a distorted shriek, and his body is shriveling as though he were a sin cara, slowly dying in the dead of winter. No, I can't carve no more, and let me keep carving. Give me some more time, give me. And the young man cries and wails before the stone wall like a trapped beast, but then moments later he loses the ability to even do so much. And his legs collapse into pieces, and he falls on the ground, but he still tries to crawl towards the stone he was carving with. And when his vocal cords gone, his despair and screams are trapped deep within inside of him, and tears run down his face, only to be buried right away by the sand without leaving so much as a trace. And then the devouring darkness swallows him whole, and with his eyes gone, his tears no longer run no more. The sand above is burbling and singing inside him mercy, and it sounds like sparks from a burning bonfire, like a snowflake fluttering through the air. And it sounds like a meandering river, and it's a river of the past, burbling with memories of all days and nights he spent with his friends. Garcia, taking note again. And at his deep, bitter hopelessness, the young man seems to have heard his friends calling to him, and the bonfire is burning and the snow is fluttering. And Garcia feels as if he's back at the encampment and he just needs to open his eyes to see everyone surrounding him. And it is a cozy moment to be in. And the new recruits are all about Blue listening to his stories, and the doctor Carl both quibbling, and Carl is trying to pacify them while playing with snow. And they all look happy and their eyes are all ablaze with hope and fire, like so this Dr. Carl brought like their small daughter to the middle of the desert and they all petrified and died. No? But at least they found the truth, whatever that was. Garcia smiled, feeling warm and peaceful, and God only knows when he last felt this way. And a pile of black sand trembles as it gathers into what it looks like a hand and brushing lovingly over the words on the stone wall. And then Garcia, or what used to be, distorts and crumbles and merges into the heap of black sand, never again seen. Who knew that the monolith, the 2005 monolith could be like so deadly? I don't know, like, I guess it's like Hispanic name. Like Garcia is like one of the most common Spanish names. It's like calling him Pedro or Carlos. Whatever, it's Garcia, and he went out in the middle of the desert with a horse with no name, and then he wanted to explore, and he found death. Well, not even death, because it became like a creepy sandstorm monster, eternally suffering, eternally dying. So, yeah. His friends were right that the monolith what led them to hell. I don't know. It's not a... I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just the way that this game works. Yeah, we gotta. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. You always gotta look your finest, even if you're even if you're like you can. Song of the Nameless. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I just wanted to make her look pretty. Even though the plot is like right now, the side story is really bumming me out. Yeah, and my brother be like, I see I be dead, but look at how pink I look, everyone. Yeah, it's a great way to get existentially depressed. And now let's add fairy wings, and off we go. That's yeah. Yeah, come to take your sandy body to Valhalla.
Trust me.
You suffered enough for the sin of wanting to know a little more, but if you think about it, like, just on the road there, how many idiots did he con into their death? But again, but at least they gotta, like, travel. And because even before they got to, like, the monolith of death, oh, well, yeah, it's over. Yeah, they turn into the sandy form, and then, and then Yisu, like, shot them with, like, her mythical arrow to put them out of their misery. And that's the end of Shiny Nikki Volume 2, Chapter 8. Let's see things cheer up in the next time I stream this. Bye-bye and God bless. Don't forget to give a like. Garcia!